So you might be wondering, how can you improve your team performance? There's lots of different ways of doing it, aren't there, Michaela?
There are, Carole, and I think it all starts with diagnostics, so understanding where your team currently is. Then thinking about the trust in the team. How do you build that trust? That then leads on to honest communication. If you haven't got the trust, you can't have that honest level of communication. And then beyond that, it's around how do you galvanize the team to gain commitment with each other, commitment in terms of accountabilities, commitment in terms of ways of working, and then really thinking about the results. So what do you want to get out of the team? What does the team need to achieve, and how are you going to measure that?
So I think when we're thinking about the diagnostics, absolutely, it's really important to get that foundation in place. So actually, what is going on now? Where are we? How are people feeling about the situation, where they want to go? What is the performance that actually we're looking at here? So starting to sort of really dig down and figure out, so what is it that I want to be different when I've done this piece of work? And there are loads of different diagnostics that can be used, insights 360, types of feedback, interviews, all sorts of ways, motivational maps. It really depends, knowing what it is that you want to see as an end result.
And I think moving on from that, and then once you've understood what the real burning issues are for the team, is really putting a solid foundation of trust into the team. And there's different ways you can go about building trust, but helping people understand what different team members value. So you might want to look at people's motivational drivers and understand what's driving individual team members, and then collectively what their why is. So part of building the trust is building understanding of people's individually, but also what's driving them and what the purpose is of the team, because that can help build trust.
I definitely see the value in building your own self-awareness and then sharing that with the team, and so the team build their own awareness of that. But then also really thinking about building those relationships as well. So it's about getting to know each other better, and valuing and celebrating those differences, and then understanding where your gaps are, and what are your little strategies for plugging those gaps, whatever it may be.
And then I think moving on, when you've got a good foundation of trust in the team, is then really working on honest communication. I know, Jo, you do a lot around helping teams with building their communication.
Absolutely. And really recognise, again, building from that individual point of view, what are my preferences? How do I work best? What do I like? What don't I like? Being really honest about that, and creating an environment where actually I can start to flex and meet other people where they are. So I start to really bring out the best in people. And each conversation is seeing the real full potential in the other person, and that's then really gets to the heart of the matter quickly and builds trust. So it all sort of builds one on top of the other.
And a good way of helping the team communicate better is doing personality profiling. So whether that might be insights discovery or MBTI, but doing some sort of profiling so people understand their own preferences, but also they can start to identify and recognise other people in the team who might be different from them, and how they communicate better and how they can minimise conflict.
And building that whole picture of the team. So have they got lots of people that are very similar? Have they got a real diversity within the team? Well, there's some gaps within the team, and therefore, kind of what do they need to do in order to really harness and maximise the potential within that team?
Yeah, and creating that sort of common language, I think, where there's permission to say what is happening, and a way to do it respectfully is so important.
Yeah, and addressing issues and being open with each other, which once you've got the trust and then the team knows how to communicate well, then that really starts to move the team forward and remove any elephants in the room, but drive the team to higher performance. And then once you get to that point, we're looking at gaining more commitment.
So yeah, the gaining commitment piece, I think it very much follows on, doesn't it? Is if you've got that openness and that trust, then you have the ability to challenge in an open way, that, and actually that helps to move things forward, because you know it's not all a yes shop. It's we're sort of challenging in the right way for the right reasons to move performance forward. But that's how you build the gain, you know, that's how you gain that commitment within the team towards the vision, towards the purpose, to the goal, the whatever it is that they're heading, because they all feel they've got their part to play, and you can work in a very open and honest way around that.
And I think that really open exploration of what the challenge and what the results are that you're trying to get to, when people feel that they've been heard, even if the decision doesn't go that way, you start to build that buy-in right from the very beginning, which is so important, because you want everybody's differing opinions, but actually it's only going to go one way, but you need to know that the team are 100% behind it.
So once everyone's aligned around the purpose and the goals, and that everyone's committed to doing that, it's very important as a team that you think about accountability. And we often find that one of the biggest mistakes that team leaders can make is not holding people accountable more strongly enough, and that collective accountability as well as personal accountability.
Yeah, and I think that collective accountability is really interesting, because when everybody has had their space within the conversations that have created that decision, the team hold each other to account, because you've got a commitment and a trust. It's like a natural web that holds things together, and I think that's when you start to see the magic of a really high performing team kick in.
Absolutely. I mean, in my experience, when you get to that magic point, it's you know, the teams, the individuals within the team, they know when they can challenge and when they can ask questions, but ultimately who's got accountability for the different parts of the puzzle, and they ultimately respect that individual has that ultimate accountability, and that's what builds and drives that collective accountability.
And then moving from the accountability onto results, and really clarifying, at the beginning you've done diagnostics hopefully, and you'll have understood what it is that you really want to focus on, but actually clarifying and measuring the results, doing a starting point and an ending point. And the results might be soft results or hard results, so what are we wanting to achieve, but how are we doing that, and also why are we doing that. So measuring the hard impact of the team, but also measuring how everyone's getting on from a personality point of view, but also measuring their motivation is really key. So you can do before and after measures to really drive high team performance. So in summary, if you're really looking at getting your team to the next level of performance, do the diagnostics first. Think about how you can build trust and really get people aligned around the purpose and the vision of what you're doing. Help them understand how they can communicate better with each other, and it's communicating the good things as well as having the difficult conversations is really important. Gaining commitment, holding everyone accountable, not just for their individual goals, but also collectively what they're going to achieve as a team, and then finally measuring and monitoring the results.